Hello? Well, let's dive into what's hot in AI and robotics, right? The materials we've analyzed, look, are impressive.
Wow, yes. The speed it's absurd.
Totally. We have liked the phone, seeing the world in real time with Google's Project Astra.
Yeah, really interacting?
Uh-huh. There's Openai's AI reasoning better, the Gemini 2.5 Flash with flexible cost, and man, a Chinese AI, Deepseek, that learns on its own.
And it surpasses important benchmarks. That's right.
And there's also a humanoid robot that sweats, the proto-clone. Surreal.
There's so much happening at the same time.
Exactly. So our goal here is to try to connect these dots, to understand what all this really means together. Let's unpack it.
For sure. I think what's more fascinating is precisely this connection, right? Seeing how one innovation leads to another and the scenario, this is painting for the future. It's not just listing, it's understanding why it matters.
Perfect. So starting with this AI that's already getting into our pockets in daily life, Google's Project Astra.
Yes, with Gemini Live.
Yeah, it seems like it turns the phone into a very powerful visual assistant. The material says it identifies objects, reads facial emotions, translates signs.
And the important detail, it does a lot of things offline.
Yes, that's great for privacy and speed, right? Not having to rely on a connection all the time.
Undoubtedly. But then there's that classic discussion, right? Convenience versus privacy. It's always a delicate balance.
Exactly.
And another point that the articles raise is the impact on access to information. Like these AI summaries in search keys can reduce clicks on the original sites, It affects an entire ecosystem.
True. This connects with what OpenAI is doing, right? Models like the GPT-4 Mini, more agile, with better reasoning.
Exactly. And Google's Gemini 2.5 Flash is also in this line of flexibility to adjust the cost per token, right? Which is the AI processing unit, to find the balance between performance and cost.
And even Microsoft with the free Copilot Vision and Edge. Things are spreading fast.
Very fast. It raises serious questions about how we will consume information from now on, right?
For sure. But this integration is one part. The other is the speed of AI evolution itself, right? The race that's happening. And here it gets really interesting.
Deepseek.
Yes, Deepseek GRM from China. The material says it learns on its own, self-taught, and surpasses models like GPT-4 in certain tasks, such as...
They use a technique they call SPCT. It's kind of like the AI learns to evaluate its own responses, Like, it critiques itself to improve.
That's crazy. An artificial self-critique.
Yeah, and then they refine it with a reward model. It's a two-phase process. First, a fine-tuning, so it learns to evaluate itself well. Then, the more traditional reinforcement learning.
I see.
And the most interesting thing, the notes point out, is that they achieve this with relatively small models. 27 billion parameters.
Small by today's standards, right?
Exactly. This suggests that maybe we don't always need massive scales to have cutting-edge AI. It could democratize access, perhaps?
Makes sense. Of course, the competition continues, right? OpenAI isn't standing still. They're adding memory to GPT-4. And everything.
No, not at all. The race is on full throttle. But this self-improvement capability of Deepseek raises that fundamental question. How do we control something that improves so quickly on its own?
Yeah, critical point. And speaking of getting out of control but moving into the real world, we arrive at robotics.
The proto-clone. Man, the details are impressive.
A musculoskeletal robot.
With over 1,000 artificial muscles, the myofibers as they call them. And it sweats. The article actually mentions that.
It does. It's an evaporative cooling system, quite similar to ours, biologically speaking.
Wow.
This shows the level of detail they are aiming for to mimic biology. It's incredible.
This fine line between machine and living being, which is becoming more and more blurred, right? The protocol, of course, still has limitations. Balance is a challenge that the texts mention, but it's a leap in realism. And it's not an isolated case. The material even mentions robot boxing.
Yes, the Unitary Robotics G1.
And a marathon in Beijing planned for 2025 with robots competing.
A marathon...
Of robots?
That's right. Testing these machines in real, even extreme conditions. That's where we see the progress. If we put it all together, it's AI moving out of the digital world and gaining a body to act in the physical world in an increasingly...
Sophisticated.
So the bottom line is that we're in a massive acceleration. AI is becoming like an invisible yet omnipresent layer of intelligence to see, to reason, to search.
Exactly.
While robotics is giving physical forms to this intelligence, forms that are increasingly realistic, more capable, and, yes, more human.
Precisely. This brings, of course, convenience, incredible new capabilities, but along with it come the challenges, right? Privacy, which we've already discussed, the control of these self-learning AIs, the ethics of robots so similar to us, the social impact of all this.
It's a lot to digest.
A lot. And to conclude, I think a reflection that remains from these readings is, considering this autonomy of AI, like Deepseek, which learns on its own, and this almost biological resemblance of robots, like the protoclone, where do you think our greatest ethical or social challenge will be in the coming years? Will it be more about the decision-making capability of AI, or which we might not fully understand or control? Or will it be more about this physical and functional resemblance of robots, which could blur our own definition of what it means to be human?
Wow. Great question.
Something for us to think about, right?